Tomlin, according to every offensive lineman with whom I spoke yesterday at the facility, was just tearing into these guys. Really let them have it. Pulled no punches. Showed Kendrick Green's grotesque missed block to everyone right in front of Green, like classroom style. And yet he's not the one who can fix this, at least not internally. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into hockey and or baseball. I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates where you found this. I did spend the day over at the South Side covering practice and talking to athletes. And I got to tell you that almost all of my conversations with athletes were with offensive linemen, because it's just that topic right now. Not on the outside, on the inside. I'm not referring to whatever everybody's buzzing about, and they should be buzzing about the offensive line. I'm talking about within that locker room, within that building. Offensive linemen confirmed for me that Tomlin came into their room, their actual classroom, first thing in the morning and just lit them up. As he should have. They were embarrassing in Jacksonville. And I'm not using that in the hyperbolic sense of the term. They were actually embarrassing to the franchise, not just in terms of their performance, but even the effort. Even the effort. Watching them get knocked back on their heels, guys that you know for a fact are stronger, physically stronger than what they showed. That's embarrassing. And it's embarrassing not only for the players, but also, I should add, for the coaching staff, including the head coach. Because let's not forget that it's the head coach who's involved not only in what happens on the field, but also in who gets put onto the field. Oh, and by the way, who gets added to the organization. He and Omar Khan are complete equals in this, and that applies to every avenue of player acquisition, notably the draft. So for Tomlin to be in that room, I feel like it's worth reminding everyone of this, reaming out Kendrick Green, let's remember that it was Tomlin who, A, contributed to the drafting of Green in the third round, no less, B, essentially anointed him to be Marquise Pouncey II by not only handing him the starting center's job, but also giving him number 53, which I still can't get over. And then finally, C, putting Green into a position, yet another new position, to compete at left guard with Kevin Dotson, who disappointed Tomlin the previous year. This is, by and large, the head coach's doing. What can you expect at Point Park University in downtown Pittsburgh? Respect, rigor, relevance. That's the Point Park pledge. You'll be treated with respect while being challenged and supported academically to graduate with career-ready, relevant skills. Visit pointpark.edu to learn more. So now that I've got all the accountability from the top down out of the way, ultimately, if there's an internal solution to be had, I'm here to tell you, based on these conversations, that part of it has to be that a leader emerges from this group. And I'm also here to tell you that that person does not currently exist. Oh, they might exist, but they don't exist with that status. I asked Mason Cole about this yesterday.
I think we got a pretty good room. We got a lot of talent, a lot of experience, but we don't have a huge vocal guy, and which can be a good or bad thing, right? We just don't. But we all bounce ideas off each other. We all talk to each other. There's not like a huge rah-rah guy in our room, which is good. I'm not a huge rah-rah guy. I don't think anyone else in our room is a huge rah-rah guy. I don't think we need that either. We know how good we are. We don't need any pep talks.
And there's accountability in that regard, too.
Yeah.
That's the impression I've gotten.
We got a lot of experience, and so we know what it takes to be good, and we know what it takes, or when it's going bad, we know what to do to fix it. So it's just, we got a really good room. We're going to be special. We just have to put it all together.
That couldn't be a more stark response. There's been some talk over the course of the summer that James Daniels would be that guy, really well-spoken. He's in his 5th year, coming over from Chicago as a free agent with a $26.5 million contract. But who's leading? Who's leading after a performance like the one Daniels just had in Jacksonville? Because when I'm talking about people getting pushed back, when I'm talking about a lack of effort, believe you me, he's number 1 on that list. I don't know why he's getting off scot-free with the fan base, to the best of my ability to gauge such a thing. I don't see, hear, or read anybody mentioning his name. Watch the film and tell me which player on that line was worse than Daniels. And yes, I'll include Green in that, because at least with Green, you didn't wonder whether or not he was trying. With Daniels, it looks like an effort issue. That's never excusable. And after the game, Daniels said something along the lines of, "I don't peak in August." Well, players will say that sort of thing to each other. Players will explain little things between themselves about ways that they can avoid injury and take a couple of shortcuts, and it's all okay. Players will just kind of nod and accept that when they hear it from each other. Don't say it after a bloody game in which your entire positional group was, what was that word again? Oh yeah, embarrassed. Somebody in that room, not Tomlin, not Pat Meyer, the positional coach, somebody in that room has to take charge of this. I don't know who it's going to be. I do know who it won't be. It won't be Daniels. I don't believe it's going to be Chuks Okorafor because he's not exactly the loudest guy in the room. I see and sense a lot of leadership traits in Dan Moore, but here again, he didn't exactly rise above in Jacksonville either. This has to be solved. It's an intangible, but it has to be solved. Otherwise, hey, go outside the room. When we come back, J1Q. Of Daily Shot of Steelers is brought to you by our friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. They are the one, the only, the premier destination in Pittsburgh for craft beer. More than 500 craft beers available, more than 350 of those local, and more than 80 of those on tap. Mike's can't be topped, not for beer, not for the awesome kitchen and menu that's available, and not for all the special events that are going on there. Check them out online at mikesbeerbar.com. Mike's Beer Bar, right across Federal Street from PNC Park. And today's J1Q comes from Jorge Rico, who asks, what can be done with Daniels in reference to his contract and letting him go if his performance continues? Well, that would be getting a little extreme after 2 preseason games. And as rough as I was on Daniels in the opening segment today, understand that I'm not advocating cutting him. And in fact, I could kind of turn your question into a vehicle, for me anyway, to convey some of the positive things that I did pick up on the South Side yesterday. Chief among them, that as rough as Tomlin was on his guys, he also appeared to have left them with a sense of purpose or confidence. And I know I'm rolling my eyes at that too, okay? Because when you watch a performance like that, overall, collectively, you're not thinking to yourself, oh yeah, they just needed a little bit of a kick in the rear. There's got to be more to it than that. And that was the sense that I came away with from talking to these guys, is that they know that, they feel that they know, I should amend, that they've got the people that they need within that group. I'm not so sure. I'm betting you're not so sure. But what we think really doesn't matter for this particular dialogue. They feel that way. And that led me to believe, and I can only guess at this, that Tomlin allowed them to believe that. Chooks Okorafor was the one who challenged me to look around and see who some of these players were. And I did that. I went along with it. You know, we're doing an interview. It's going both ways. And I was reminded in that moment that James Daniels was, in fact, a pretty good player in Chicago. Not a great one. He'd have his down moments there. There were people who criticized him there as well. He told me that himself. But, you know, you don't get $26.5 million because you stink. That's a pretty big swing and a miss if it is the case. And there were other teams that were pursuing him as well, which is why the Steelers had to raise their price the way they did. You'd like to think, even based on a remark that sounded a little unsightly, that he has another level, that he has another notch, and that in fact he's not necessarily an August player. Okay, great. Let's see the late August version of it Sunday against the Lions. We saw better versions of Moore, notably when he shut down Myles Garrett. We've seen, this has to go back a couple of years, but a much better version of Dotson. Remember when he filled in for Matt Filer? Looked pretty good. Actually was the Steelers' best offensive lineman over those 5 games. Crazy as it might seem now. And we've already seen significantly better center play from Cole than we ever saw from Green in 2021. I know, damning him with faint praise, but he's actually been okay. Not great, but okay. So maybe there's something here. Maybe there isn't. Maybe in the entire time that Tomlin was crushing these guys in the room, Omar Khan was over in the other room working the phones to bring someone else in. I still hope that's the case. Because your worst case scenario there is that somebody comes in, you bring them in, you have them available at another position, you just create another battle, or you create some depth and let whoever it is that lost their job try to fight and earn it back. No damage done. There's cap room. Go ahead and get that guy. However, for what's here right now, the best approach is for these guys to feel good about themselves. It really is. You don't need them beating themselves up any more than what the Jaguars just did. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. We'll do another one of these tomorrow.